Well, Jays fans, that wraps up the home schedule of the 2018 Toronto Blue Jays season, but really today and this game was not really about the Blue Jays, the game itself. It was about John Gibbons. And obviously we had the feeling, and the really solid feeling, that John Gibbons would not return as manager of the Toronto Blue Jays next year. And that is so. We heard today that the reports are coming out that the Jays were going to relieve him of his duties after this season. And today would be his last home game in a Toronto Blue Jays, I guess, jersey, coat, whatever you want to call it. Whatever John Gibbons is wearing on a daily basis. But today was his final game. And you know, there was a lot of controversy initially when he came on. Obviously, the big trades with the Miami Marlins, bringing in all those great players. At the time, it looked beautiful. Bringing in the reigning Cy Young Award winner R.A. Dickey and Melky Cabrera and like all these big names, and we're like, wow, we could go to the championship. Now we really need a coach. John Gibbons? You know, that was the initial thought when Gibby came over, and obviously 2013-14 didn't go too well. But in 2015, obviously, the craziness started to occur. The acquisition of Josh Donaldson in that offseason. You know, the about 500 start to the year really couldn't get much traction. They were all right and all that stuff. And then Alex Anthopoulos pulling the triggers on a ton of deals. Bringing in a lot of big-name players and getting this team going. And John Gibbons, a big factor in this. You guys, you see what happens. You know, when John Gibbons was with this team in 13-14 and the beginning of 15, the talent level really wasn't all there. You know, they didn't really have those names that they acquired at the deadline, right? So you guys, look, you can argue if Gibby's a good manager or not, but what he is, he's a great people person. Now, his first time around, did he have some run-ins with some players? Of course he did. Did he have some run-ins with Kevin Pillar at some points? Absolutely. But no matter what, he was a father figure to those guys, and he was a great players manager. Now, his time is done in Toronto, as we all expected, because the new regime is kind of coming for the Toronto Blue Jays, and I'm excited to see who gets put on the reins. But let's talk about this game. Let's talk about Gibby a little bit more as we go along. Let's quickly run through the game. First off, the Jays win 3-1 on 3 hits. But it doesn't matter for either team. I think Houston's wrapped up their division. They're celebrating. The Jays are obviously eliminated. It really doesn't matter. They had a bullpen day. We pretty much had a bullpen day. Reid-Foley only going 3 1/3, obviously with that innings limit in check for him. So they take him out after 3 1/3. And you know what? He was pretty good. 3 1/3, only the 1 hit. So what happened in that 4th inning, guys? He gave up a walk. Then Jake Marisnick stole second. Then he gave up a single to Carlos Correa a couple batters later to bring in Marisnick, and that was his only run given up, and that was really it. So he went 3 1/3, 1 hit, 1 run, 1 walk, and 5 strikeouts. I thought he was pretty good in his outing. ERA drops to 5.13, and that is how his 2018 Toronto Blue Jays season is going to end. Obviously, only September call-up. You only saw a limited amount of things, but a piece of the future nonetheless for the Toronto Blue Jays. Guys, Randall Grichuk, guys, in the bottom of the 1st inning. We talked about teams having a good start. Well, in the first 2 games of this series, they had the good starts. Getting a couple runs or 4 runs or whatever it was in the first couple innings. In the bottom of the 1st inning, Randall Grichuk gets a 2-2 pitch from Chris Davinsky and gives up a 2-run shot to Randall Grichuk's 25th home run of the year. McKinney comes in to score. He walked to lead off the ball game. And that made it 2-0. Then obviously the infield single to third base from Carlos Correa in that 4th inning against Reid-Foley. And that was all the offense for the Houston Astros. Obviously they didn't have Springer. They didn't have Jose Altuve in the lineup. Look, you can't say that the Jays beat the Astros today because you didn't see a starter and you didn't see quite a few of their mainstream players. Bottom 5, though, Reese McGuire steps to the plate and gets a curveball up in the zone, crushes it to right field, his first big league home run. Congratulations, Reese. He's shown a lot of great things, as Danny Jansen has, as a part of the future for this young Jays team moving forward. Run through the stats real quick. Randall Grichuk was 1 for 3 with a 2-run shot. Reese McGuire 1 for 3 with his home run. And John Birdie gets the call to the big leagues, 8 years in the minor leagues, finally gets the call. And I love when John Gibbons was walking up there to change pitchers, get rid of Sean Reid-Foley, and bring in Joe Biagini. They put John Gibbons on the Jumbotron, and what does he do? He grabs John Birdie and gets him in the screen and he hugs him and all that. That's John Gibbons for all of us. That type of player manager, that type of person. And he will be missed as a person, but as this team moves forward and as this team looks to grow, changes had to be made. We knew it was going to come. We knew it was going to happen, and here it is. All right? Richard Durante goes 0 for 3, but John Birdie gets his first big league hit. He goes 1 for 3 in his first big league outing. Guys, the pitching was crazy because obviously Sean Reid-Foley only went 3 1/3. Joe Biagini went an inning and a third to give up a hit and a walk, but that was about it. Jake Petrichka went an inning, gave up 2 hits, and struck out 2 batters. Tim Meza came out for 1 guy and got him to ground up to first base, as Tim Meza does, being nice and clean in there, dropping his ERA to 3.34. Again, I will say it again, he is my spot, unless the Jays go out and sign somebody, for that lefty role out of the bullpen next season. Ryan Tepera threw a clean inning, gave up a hit, and struck out a batter. Tyler Clippard threw a clean inning, no hits, no walks, and struck out 2. And Ken Giles comes out there for the save against his former team, and he does the job. No runs, no hits, no walks, and a strikeout. Clean inning for Giles. He continues his amazing September, and the Blue Jays win 3-1. But like I said off the top, this game was not about the game itself. It was about John Gibbons drenching him in Gatorade. And whom else? Kevin Pillar. And the crazy story about Kevin Pillar and the whole situation, apparently, back when Kevin Pillar initially first came up, and he was like I don't know if he got pinch run for, or he got a hit late in the game, and he got pulled from the game for a pinch runner. Kevin Pillar goes down to the dugout and either throws his bat or smashes his bat against a wall going down into the clubhouse or something like that. It was something along those lines, guys. And John Gibbons went up to him and said, never again. And next day, Kevin Pillar sent down. And then he comes back and he never leaves. John Gibbons, hard-nosed guy. But when you play well and you're a nice guy, he will love you back. And we have seen that over the years with the players. And it's been a great time with John Gibbons. But, like we've said, it's time to move on. His last home game as a Toronto Blue Jay ends off on a winning note. The exact way you want to end off your tenure as a Toronto Blue Jay if you're John Gibbons. And the you know what? He brought us to sorry, I wouldn't say he brought us, but he was the coach for us during two playoff runs that a lot of us are going to remember for quite a while until this team gets back into the playoffs. Gibby, you're going to be missed. You were loved quite a lot here, but he'll get a gig somewhere. I'm not worried about that. All right. So the Jays wrap up their season, I guess, on the road at Tropicana Field for a 3-game set starting Friday night. The Jays have an off day tomorrow, travel day, before they face the Tampa Bay Rays for a 3-game set to end the season. Thomas Pannone going in Game 1. Blake Snell on the mound against him. Cy Young Award winner. Great. We already saw what happened when we faced him here. That didn't go too well. Game 2 for the Blue Jays. Ryan Brucke on the mound, and we're not so sure. It's probably going to be another bullpen day for the Tampa Bay Rays. And in the finale, it is slated to be Marco Estrada. Will he make the start? We're going to have to wait and see. Unless they want to do a bullpen day, and that'll be all sure for Marco. I don't know. We don't know who's going for the Tampa Bay Rays yet. But that just wraps up the season, guys. And I know you guys are feeling it. I'm feeling it. I just want to get these 3 games out of the way, look towards the offseason, and more or less get really into the Leafs and Raptors as the Raptors start their preseason on Saturday. Speaking of Raptors, guys, you know what? I'll wait till I close off the video, all right? So you know what, guys? That is going to do it for this one. You guys enjoyed this video, and you guys enjoyed John Gibbons as a whole and the 52 ejections from his career, or I guess his tenure, both first time and second time as a Toronto Blue Jay. Hit that like button. I do appreciate that. Any memorable John Gibbons moments, guys? I know one for me is when Troy Tulowitzki had a good game or something. He was like, hey, to all the Tulowitzki haters out there, suck on that one for tonight, won't you? It was like one of those like that, and I love it. I loved Gibby for that. I want to hear what you guys have to say. Who was your favorite John Gibbons moments, if you guys have some? But I want to thank John for all his great support and all his great times here in Toronto. He will be missed, but the new regime is coming for the Toronto Blue Jays, and you want to bring in a new face, a younger face, an analytical face. to this franchise. All right. So, like I said, guys, I want to hear what you guys have to say about Gibby and all that. Subscribe button, like button, all that great stuff. And Evan and I we're supposed to talk to you guys tonight. He's working extremely late tonight, so we can't do that. It'll be uploaded sometime this weekend, maybe Saturday or Sunday, something like that. So kind of a weekend podcast, first time we've done that. Link is in the description for the podcast channel and for the podcast itself on iTunes. Twitter is also down below, guys. Follow up, send me a DM, do all that great stuff. And here we go. I will talk to you guys Raptors edition tomorrow, preseason preview, as we'll break down the Raptors preseason, what we're looking for into the season as the preseason kicks off on Saturday night, like I said earlier. And we'll talk to you guys Leafs edition a little bit later tonight, as they're the puck drop is in about 10 minutes. So I'll be watching that very shortly. Leafs edition as they're at the Bell Center taking on the Montreal Canadiens. Basically, a full NHL lineup for the Toronto Maple Leafs, excluding Nylander, Hyman, and I don't know if Dermott's good to go yet. I'm not too sure about that, but I know a few guys are still out of the lineup, but it's not a big factor. You're going to see most of the main guys tonight against the Montreal Canadiens at the Bell Center. 7:30 puck drop, like I said, in a few minutes. And as for the Blue Jays, we'll talk to you guys Friday night. It's a 6:10 first pitch at Tropicana Field on Saturday, as the Blue Jays look to end off their season on the right note in one of the worst ballparks in the league, and the ballpark the Jays play the worst at. So we're gonna have to wait and see. Thomas Pannone, Blake Snell, the pitching matchup in Game 1 of the final 3-game series of the season. It's been a blast, guys. It's been a ride, but 3 games to go. We'll talk to you guys then.